Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, Fabdulites. I have a question for you. What opens with Luke's separation from June and Hannah, and what closes with Luke receiving a message from June about Hannah? If you guessed The Handmaid's Tale episode 7, The Other Side, then you're correct. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Thanks for clicking. If you'd like to see how we get from opening to close, please stick around for my review recap of The Handmaid's Tale episode 7. Like, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and thumbs up. You know you already liked the video. Alright, so we got a car speeding on the road, crashing into bushes. It's stuck. Everyone is all right. Luke sends Mama June and baby daughter Hannah off. In the trunk, he gets, I think, money. He gets a gun out and a box of bullets. He's trying to load the gun. He's nervous. Bullets are falling over the floor. But he does get the gun loaded. He waits. He's got his gun out. And he's shot. And then, now this episode, there were a lot of flashbacks, but we love the episode. The other side is Luke's perspective. So we loved it. Okay, so then we have a flashback. Is Luke seeing his baby girl and his wife, and then he's kind of coming to in an ambulance. There's an accident, and the ambulance is upside down. Luke releases himself from the belt. He drops down. He gets a bag. It has his glasses and his wallets in it. He gets drugs from out of the ambulance. And from a dead guy, he gets a jacket, a gun. He sees a guy on the river. He holds a gun to him shakily, trying to get information. But his informant is kind of like, I don't know if he's dead, high, sick. His informant can't really give him any information. He wants to, he doesn't know where the route 2W is. I don't know what route he's looking for, but he starts walking. He walks past his car, which crashed on the roadside. He sees trees and trees. He's woozy and dizzy. He sees his baby girl's stuff on the roadside. He cradles his wifey's shoe. He sees trees and trees and trees. So then we see Luke. He's kind of like in a town now, but it's like an abandoned town. There's a layer of snow on the floor, maybe about an inch on the ground, maybe about an inch. He's coughing and bleeding. He's slipping and sliding as he enters a building. He's panting and drinking and eating, and he's sitting down without his glasses with the gun. And then he has another flashback. It's him, his wife, and his child in town. Lots of armed men. They're driving in a car, looking out the window. There's lots of armed men. He and his wife are very anxious, especially June, his wife. The baby is drugged. We find out Mama gave her some Benadryl with breakfast. You know, he's saying out loud, we're just going to breakfast. It's not illegal. Like they're trying to soothe themselves and make sure their cover story is straight. And then the wife is saying, we should have left when Myra did. And he's like, she's on her feet. We have a kid. And then they meet up with a guy, kind of like, I don't really know where it is, but like a lot of the cars are kind of old and rusty looking. The man is like, where are your phones? He takes their phones. He steps on them. He says, even with the GPS off, they can still track you. He's like, where's the backpack? Give me that bag. Luke is like, well, that's all we have. And the guy is like, well, you can't look like you're running. And Luke is like, people have backpacks all the time. The guy is like, you want to risk it? Meanwhile, June is watching the whole thing, and she takes the bag and throws it. And then he's like, you know, I'm driving. You two in the rug rack get in the trunk. And Luke is kind of resistant again, but basically June, you know, they get in the trunk. While they're in the trunk, they're talking. Where's the Benadryl? June is starting to get like nervous and anxious. We can hear, you know, sirens come in every once in a while, so they don't know if they about to get arrested or what's up. She's asking, where's the Benadryl? Luke is like, the guy threw it out. And you know, June is like, well, what if baby girl wakes up? What if Hannah wakes up? And Luke is like, you know, it'll be all right. Junebug, 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 stay right here. It's all right. It's all right. We hear sirens coming and going, as I said, and then the vehicle gets stopped. The trunk is open. The checker comes with the flashlight. He's flashing it on them, looking right on them. But then the checker says, all good. And then the driver comes and he closes the trunk. Before he closes the trunk, he says, the checker owed me a favor. I took his sister to prom or something. So then they arrive at a house. They're not in the city of Boston anymore. They're like out in the country. They ask about the neighbors. I think the nearest neighbors are like 2 miles away, 5 miles away, 6 miles away. The driver is like, you know, smile, you're safe. Luke is like, what now? The driver is like, you know, stay here. There are lots of patrols between here and the border. You know how to shoot a gun? And Luke is like, yes, ooh. So the guy kind of shows him how to shoot a gun. He says, I'm gonna go get y'all Canadian passports. Luke is like, we cool, we got our visas. The man is like, your visas don't count because the American passport ain't worth shit. So they're useless. So then we flash forward into the present, which is kind of the past. But anyway, Luke is awakened by some women like beating him, kicking him. And they think he's a guardian because the jacket that he took off the ambulance guy. And I guess the guardians are like, you know, the bad guys, the people from Gilead who are taking over, that the resistance is fighting. And he tells his story, and then the group kind of gathers him up. So it's kind of like a group of strays, different people, maybe 5 or 6 people who, one is a nun, one was in a, one is a nun. I know there's a black nun. But one is a stray, somebody they just found. So, you know, it's a random kind of group of people who are trying to get to Canada. Zoe is one of the names of the people. Zoe is giving him medical treatment, and Luke is steadily trying to get out of the vehicle. He's in and out of consciousness, but he's trying to get to his wife and his daughter. Zoe, there's Christine the nun, there's Lila, there's Peter. You know, I couldn't quite follow all of this. I couldn't get the lighting right on my tablet, I guess. But then we have a flashback, and we see June and baby girl cooking, and they're cooking pancakes, and Luke is watching. It's a very sweet family type scene, but it made me wonder if the girl was her girl, because we know that June and Luke were having an affair, and I'm looking at the girl, and you can't always tell to look at people, but she definitely looks like her father's color, but not like a mix of their colors. But that doesn't always happen with children, so I didn't really think anything at first. But then I'm thinking, well, dang, this girl is pretty big. You know, I can't really figure out the timeline. I'm like, that girl might have been too old for her. Oh no, she was pregnant. That's right, she was pregnant. Never mind. Okay. So then we're back in the present. We hear a woman screaming. We're back in the present in the truck with Luke and the gatherer-uppers who gathered him up. They're talking about, there's a rumor about these training centers. They tell some story about a guard who had some women, guards who had women gathered at the school. They're gathering up fertile women, and the guards were not going to let the women go. I kind of got the impression that they were like sex slaves, but I wasn't really exactly clear what was going on from that. But you know, basically, this shit is fucked up. It's awful. It's not good. It's not a good situation, especially for the women. But it's just not a good situation. Okay. So then we see Luke and his family on the lake playing. This is like after they made the escape, when the guy put them in the trunk and then he left them at the cabin. So they're like at the lake, and the little girl at a lake, and the little girl is throwing some stuff in the water or whatever. They just having some family time. And then we hear some barking, and it's a dog that comes barking, and then he's followed by a man. The man leaves, and everything seems cool on the surface, like, oh yeah, we were just here playing. Okay, bye, nice meeting you. But it's not cool on the surface. It's tense underneath, and Luke is like, we gotta go. My phone is doing this thing it used to do. How y'all doing today? You having a good day? Oh Lord, I got 2 reviews on the same thing, so we got to go through. We on to episode 8 now, it's like it's highlighting everything that I have written in my notes. I don't know why it's scrolling down. It's like a self-highlighting function. I have no idea how I activate it, and I can't seem to figure out how to deactivate it. So it has to just do its thing, and then once it's done its thing, I can go back. So that's where we at. We on number 12 of the next episode. Yep. Now we're on number 13 of the next 14 of the next episode. Okay, so we finished. Okay, so you know, everything seems cool on the surface when they see the guy, but Luke and the mama know we gotta go, and Luke says we gotta go. So then we see Luke with the stray getters again, and he's like, I gotta get out, I gotta go back to Boston, I'm not going to Canada, because they're saying something about Canada, let me out. And they're like, you know, you've been shot, there are guards all around. And the mute one pops a top can, like a can, like pops it. I don't know if it's beer, but she gives it to Luke, like, you know, cool out, chill out. And then we see Luke back in the cabin with his wife and child. Baby girl, we hear, is in the bathroom, and Luke is getting the gun. His wife is like, what's up with the gun? And Luke is like, I know how to use it. Or she might have asked him if he knew how to use it. Then he's teaching her how to use it, how to load the gun. And then we see her shakily holding the gun. The man from the lake is there, and the one who had the dog, and he's like, you know, the people are looking for you, it's all over the radio, y'all have to get out of here, it's not safe. You know, they're like, they don't know whether to trust him or not. I don't know whether I trust him or not, what's really going on. He's like, you know, Luke is like, or June is like, June is like, should we wait for, you know, so-and-so? He's like, yeah, so-and-so was a little weird, but, you know, he's dead. They already hung him. They caught him. They hung him. He ain't coming back. You know, I got a guy waiting for you at the border, you know, whatever. So he's supposedly helping them. And then we see we're back to the present with Luke with the stray gatherers, and they putting Luke out on the side of the road, because the last thing we heard, Luke is like, I got to get out. I got to go back to my family. I'm you know, I got to go back. And so he's getting out of the bus on the side of the road as per his demand. That's what he demanded. And then the black nun is giving him a blessing. May the Lord guide your steps and bring you your June and your Hannah. And then the one woman is showing him, you know, she like, hey, walk with me, let me show you something. She takes him into a church. As she's walking him in, she's like, you know, this is a church. They were resistors. They hid all the fertile women in here. And then we see Luke like gasping or whatever, and then they show a shot of the rafters of the church, and it's like 10-20 people just hanging from the rafters. This society show like to hang people and just leave them hanging on the walls, on the ceilings. You know, I guess that's Gileadian. And she says there's one of these in every town, you know, so, you know, you can go back if you want to, but this is going to be you, and you're not going to be able to help your wife and child. And then the next thing we know, Luke is going to Canada. But when they get to the border, the guide is like, nah, you pay for 5, not 6. And this is free enterprise, so I ain't here to be nice. So, bye, sorry. And Luke is like, oh no, we all going. He start digging in his fanny pack. He got some drugs. He like, this is Percocet or whatever he got. This is codeine. You know, he negotiating, and he ends up negotiating. What else you got in the bag? He ended up negotiating his way across the border. But they basically make it into the border in a firestorm of bullets. So I know he made it, and I think that the mute woman made it. There was a mute woman whose name we never got, because they said when she was one of the strays they gathered up. She didn't really say anything. I don't know if she's one of the women that they got out of the school, if they like liberated and like attacked the school and liberated people, and that's all they could get. But anyway, so then we find out that it's 3 years later. We see Luke with the mute woman. That's how I know she made it there. I think she mute because she didn't say nothing, just like in the bus, right? And then it's like we see a sign or something saying Little America. Maybe it says 3 years later, Little America. So I guess in Canada they got a Little America for the Americans who miss home, and they all gather together and live together and, you know, practice and enjoy some American ways together. He gets a call. Then we see him on an elevator. He's in a building. As he's walking through the building, the wall is plastered with stuff. pictures and flyers and posters and notes and, you know, drawings. And it's people who have lost people who are posting up information about their people however they can to try to be able to reconnect with their people. It reminds me of, you know, after, like, when they say that after the, you know, Emancipation Proclamation, that's what would happen in the, they had centers, I can't remember what they were called, but people, you know, were looking for their loved ones, the freed, enslaved Africans. So I just, it was just very disturbing, because there were like 1 million people's identities up there, 1 million people, just so many people looking for people and missing their people. So that was like, you know, it was, I thought it was very effectively done. So far in this, I mean, the brightest colors that we've seen in this series have been the Handmaid's clothes. When we see flashbacks of Luke and June and stuff, their color, everything is kind of muted. This scene was kind of muted as well. Like, I can see a pink on the wall. It's not a hot pink. It's not a highly saturated colors. It's not that. So the wall is plastered with pictures and flyers and drawings. It seems to be some kind of American embassy, but I'm not sure. But I think I see a couple American flags. And then he goes in and he's talking. I couldn't quite catch what he was talking about, but the woman is like, you know, basically interrupts him, and she's like, you know, a woman named June Osborne, 31 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes. And he like, yeah, that's my wife. And she's like, this is for you. And Luke is like, where'd you get this? And she's like, you know, 3 weeks ago, the Mexican delegation threw a connection, blah, 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 blah. And Luke is like, she's alive? And the woman is like, yeah, we believe so. And then he's by himself with the note that June was writing at the end of the last episode. And he's crying and he's laughing. And he's crying and he's smiling and he's gazing and he's crying. And then we see a shot of the handmaid June. And in her voice, you know, they have a voiceover. And she says, I love you so much. Save Hannah. And that's the end of the episode. So... I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't already see this episode of The Handmaid's Tale. So when I was reading the book, one of the things that was really, I don't know if it was disturbing or depressing or just I couldn't really appreciate it. It was like, it was so depressing and disturbing and just, but this is where you, like at different points of the series, you feel hope. As bleak and depressing as it is, you feel hope. And at this moment, it was just like, I just felt like hope. Like, it was so encouraging to see that the man was still alive. And it was like a relief from all of the awfulness that we've had in Gilead. But that's what I got. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Watch The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. We doing a book club on this Sunday. So my goal is to, I already read the book a couple, whatever ago, but my goal is to finish the series, or I think the series is finished, although I'm just on number 7, 8, before I'm trying to do a marathon so I can finish the series before book club. But anyway, that's what I got, Fabulites. It's the best day ever. Remember that, and remember to be you, be fabulous you. Mwah.